So in the past week, Troy Aikman went out and shared his honest thoughts on the Cowboys receivers, basically saying they run terrible routes, CeeDee Lamb needs to improve his route running, lots of things like that. Also how he thinks they're lazy coming off the line of scrimmage. And Jerry Jones today went on to 105 through the Fan and did his interview after going viral last week and shared his thoughts on what Troy Aikman had to say about the Cowboys and their receivers. So here we have from Jerry Jones. If you want more Cowboys content, feel free to subscribe down below. Here it is.
Jerry, what did you think of Troy Aikman's wide receiver comments about route running? And in y'all's film study, did you see any of that and agree with any of what Troy said?
Troy knows football. My goodness, he lives it. When he was here, he's one of the most astute and hardworking people I've ever seen at evaluating tape or looking at how a team is playing. Troy's a credible boy and should be. And not only that, you can imagine he's not just interested in taking a whack at the Cowboys. He feels as much or more than anybody does about the Cowboys. He's very professional. I think he's very fair. And certainly you can look at what we've been doing. You can look at such things as the separation compared to other teams. That's that analytics that you work with today. But fundamentally, I was talking with Mike, and our players need to work on, when they've got tight coverage, they need to work on pushing on through physical contact, pushing on through it. Now, that's just an example. That's not the only thing. But I'm pretty confident that we've got the ability to coach, and we've got some receivers that take the coaching and can improve. That's the big thing, improve.
All right, so Jerry Jones, I mean, it's hard when someone like Troy Aikman comes out and makes a criticism of your team and of your players, because it's pretty hard to refute what Troy Aikman says. And as Jerry Jones started off there saying that Troy Aikman, he knows football, he's astute and hardworking when it comes to evaluating tape, and he's credible. And so basically saying, in a way, what Troy said is pretty fair just by showing that, Troy knows what he's talking about. And it sounds like Jerry Jones, when talking with Mike McCarthy, thinks one of the bigger issues is just guys fighting through contact. And so I think when you have random, media people attacking the Cowboys, it's easy to sort of play it off if you're Jerry Jones. But when Troy himself does it, you can't really play that off, because I think everyone trusts what Troy Aikman has to say. And with him being straight up honest about the sort of the poor play from the Cowboys receivers, it definitely, really made everyone take that into consideration. And I think especially now this next week, I would assume we'll see some harder play from the receivers, considering lots of people are going to have their eyes more so on that with Troy Aikman calling it out. And I think that there's a lot of issues here with what Troy Aikman, not with what Troy Aikman said, but the reality of the Cowboys receivers. They're not running good routes. He thinks that CD needs to improve his route running. Also about guys coming lazy off the line of scrimmage. I think that has a lot to do with coaching, because if you have guys playing lazy out there when they're not getting the ball, then I think that's something that if you're the coach, you have to address, and you have to make sure that those guys are playing hard every play. I would find it hard to imagine if someone like Bill Belichick was the coach, that you could get by a few weeks without sort of putting down that maximum type effort. And so I think that part of that is on Mike McCarthy. Part of it is the fact that I think outside of CeeDee Lamb, I just don't know if these receivers are talented enough to really, take this Cowboys offense where they really can go. And I think going forward, there's a lot of issues with the Cowboys offense. I think play calling is an issue, and Jerry Jones even brought that up in his press conference, in that interview right there as well, that part of it is bad play calling, sort of calling out Mike McCarthy, it seemed, which I'm not sure if that bodes well for Mike McCarthy and his future with the Dallas Cowboys. But there's just so many issues on this Cowboys team, and one thing isn't going to fix all of it. And I think that when you look at, Dak Prescott getting $60 million a year, you can pay a guy that much money, but if your receivers aren't getting separation, it makes it that much harder on a quarterback. And Jerry Jones even brought that point up. And right now the Cowboys are 31st in target separation at 3 yards per target, according to NFL Pro. And so that's a problem for the Cowboys going forward. And if we don't see more effort from these Cowboys receivers, I think that's partly on Mike McCarthy, also on the receivers themselves for, putting in the effort that's sort of necessary. And so we'll see if the Cowboys come out stronger this next week. I would assume after getting blown out by the Lions that we may see some kind of response against a 49ers team that has been dealt a ton of big blows with injuries to guys like Debo, who was, got sick this past week, it seemed. And then, of course, Ayuk tearing his ACL. I think the Cowboys will probably respond. I mean, their defense has been so banged up and so weak as well, so it could be a really close game. But that's pretty much it for this one. If you want more Cowboys content, feel free to subscribe down below, and I'll see you guys next time.